not allowed to record on there. I'll just be recording myself, and then when it's time to let you all ask some questions, then I will hop off of Clubhouse. And then if you want to join me over, I'm sorry, I'll hop off of Facebook. And then if you want to join me over on Clubhouse, you can. So let me reshare real quick. Hey, Bianca, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming in. If you want, actually, this would be a perfect topic for you to discuss as well. If you want to be on stage, you can come on up. Okay, so let me reshare quickly to, or you don't have to. Let me reshare quickly to Facebook, and then we will be good to go. So I hope you all are having a great evening. I know some of us have already started our Daniel fast. If you could put in the comments whether or not you have already started your fast, whether you are even doing the Daniel fast. If you have no idea what the Daniel fast is, let me know that in the comments. I know I have some folks over in my Daniel fast with Chef Ashley Shep Facebook group, and some started today. Some folks, Teray actually started on the 1st just to knock it out, and so she's been doing great with it. And so, hey, Adiola, thanks for joining. And so, all right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Yes, you can come on up, sir. How are you doing?
How are you?
Good. How are you doing? I'm recording over on Facebook as well, so I was going to do, you can introduce yourself though. But I was going to do kind of a little bit of teaching, and then towards the end, then I'll invite people to speak. But you can go ahead.
Awesome. You're multitasking today.
I'm trying.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I on Clubhouse. I'll listen.
Okay, yeah, you can tune in. And for those of you that are on Facebook, Adiola, Addy Daddy, Mr. Addy Daddy, is joining me over on Clubhouse. And so he's equally qualified to have this discussion as well. But all right, so let's go ahead and get started. So like I said in the comments, let me know where you are in your fasting journey. If you've already started the Daniel fast, if you're thinking about doing the Daniel fast, if you don't know what the Daniel fast is, that's perfectly fine as well. I know some people have already started theirs, and that's cool too. So anytime you are having a different change in eating habits or changing your diet or anything like that, you definitely do want to consult your doctor first, of course. I know some people have different medical situations going on, and so you do want to be mindful of those and make sure that you are covered there just to be safe. I always tell people I am not a doctor, and so you want to be sure that you are taking care of your personal needs. And for I don't want to call it a diet, but for the Daniel fast, it's actually one of the fasts where you can eat. And so it is something where you're shifting your eating habits to 21 days of basically a plant-based diet. So that would include things like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds. You can also do whole grains. And so brown rice, quinoa, things like that, those are all fair game on the Daniel fast. The things you want to avoid are things such as added sugars. And so things that end in OSE on the back of the package, so like sucrose, sucralose, glucose, anything that's an added sugar you want to avoid. If it's a naturally occurring sugar, so like in fruits, perfectly fine, you can have those. And then also things like honey, because that's derived from animals, because this is a plant-based change in eating, you want to avoid that. And then like butter, anything that comes from any kind of animal parts would be things that you wouldn't want to eat on the Daniel fast. And those are things that are just generally healthy in the first place. And so it's not something that if you're doing it the right way, making sure you're having enough protein, making sure you're getting those complex carbs, so whole grains, those are fine. It's not going to be something where your body is going to be like, oh, like you're eating healthy foods. And so you will have a shift. You will have a bit of a crash from sugar, because sugar is in literally everything that we eat. Added sugar, I should say, is in a lot of things that we eat. And so you might notice some headaches. So with that, you can drink more water to help out with that. But it's really just something to kind of reset yourself. And so you're resetting yourself physically. And then you also are, hey, Joy, thanks for tuning in. You also are resetting yourself spiritually. And so the spiritual component is that while you are denying your flesh of meat products, added sugars, deep fried things like that, then you are adding in those other nutrients, and you're also building up your faith. And so what that could look like is increasing your quiet time that you're having with the Lord. If you got your copy of the Daniel Fast book, then there's actually places on each day of the devotional for you to have that time and to reflect. And so, for example, I'm going to read one of the days to you. But so, for example, on this day, there's a few questions and then there's space to write. And same kind of concept. So every day there's questions that kind of guide you. There's scriptures for you to read up on, and then lots of space for you to write. I wanted to make sure it was big enough for you to be able to express yourself. You could write your prayers there. You could write requests that you have, anything that the Lord just puts on your heart. So, all right, we're going to dig into some of the tips to help you to have a successful fast or to have a successful change in eating habits. And so if you are on Clubhouse, go ahead and ping somebody to join us. And like I said, once I get to the part where you all ask questions, then I'll cut off the recording since you're not allowed to record on Clubhouse. All right, so first you want to be prepared to have a plan. So regardless of if you're doing the Daniel fast or not, you want to have a plan, whatever your new eating habit is. So for example, maybe you say you're doing keto, or maybe you want to eat more seafood, which is some of the comments some of my food fan members have said in the group when we did a poll. Whatever your change in eating habit is, you want to make sure that it's something that's sustainable. So if you have a plan, that's going to give you a clear path of the things that you need to incorporate. So for example, I'm going to keep using the Daniel fast, of course, since that's what I'm focusing on this month. And I have places inside here that just are simple spots for you to write what your plan is. So there's space for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. That was something that somebody pointed out, is that snacks really are what kind of get them. They have a snack attack around 3 o'clock, and then they haven't made a plan for that snack. And so having just things like fresh produce around, having an apple, having a banana, having those little mandarin oranges, those cuties or halos, having that really readily available for you is going to make it so that you're able to have something quick. You don't have to make a decision, because how many people know when you are hungry plus angry, those are usually the worst decisions when it comes to your food. And so having a plan of what you're going to do when you get to that part where you're feeling kind of hungry, because you will have that with any kind of new eating habit or any kind of change in your nutrition. You also want to consider ordering your groceries. And this is something I tell people time and time again, that, oh, I put my necklace on. Sorry. Okay. So you might want to consider ordering your groceries. And that's twofold. So part of that has to do with the fact of when you are ordering groceries online, you are eliminating the other options that you would normally see as you're walking up and down those grocery store aisles. So if it's something that's like a spur of the moment, once again, snack attack, if you're going grocery shopping hangry, not a good idea. So it's able to make it so that you are generally buying the same things you normally would buy, because when you pull up those sites, they actually remember what you purchased previously. So for example, I use Kroger. I also use Instacart sometimes. And so they'll say, oh, do you want to buy this thing again? Just like on Amazon at the bottom. Do you want to buy this order again? This thing that's been sitting in your cart that you've purchased 5 times. And so actually Instacart has a feature that's similar to subscribe and save. And so they will actually add in your groceries for you at the frequency that you choose. So for example, if you decide that you want to have them come maybe every 2 weeks, they actually have a feature that says, okay, this item, I want this to automatically be added to my cart every 2 weeks, which is amazing. And so, ordering your groceries is a great way to make it so that you don't slip up, make it so that you're not like, oh, I forgot to go to the grocery store, and then now I got to order out. And so if you're watching this during the time of COVID, also it's a way to stay safer and decrease your exposure to being out. So let me know in the comments if you've ordered your groceries before, if this is something you've never tried before. I know a lot of people started doing it more in once COVID started. For me, I had been doing it before just to save time and energy, and I love it. So, all right. So my next tip, moving on into that, is to know yourself. So anytime you're doing a new habit, a new thing, you hear all this new year, new me. Perfectly fine. And of course, in Christ, we are new creatures. And so anytime you're doing a new habit, you need to know yourself. So you need to know, what are your triggers? What are the things that you are more likely to to do at certain times a day. I know for me, 3 o'clock is like snack time. And so I just make sure I have some fruit with me or granola bars or something like that so that I'm able to not have to worry when it's time, when that happens, because I just know it's going to happen. Um, Also, I know that for me, some of my temptations is ice cream. And so I try to not keep it in the house with me. If you're somebody that's the same for you, potato chips, whatever it is, try to make sure that you don't add those things to your cart if you're online grocery shopping or if you're going in person. Because if you make it harder to access, then you're more likely to not be able to have that thing and less likely to try to eat it. Also, if you are, a lot of people are telling me for the Daniel fast, they are making exceptions or exclusions. And so earlier, I don't know if you weren't on here earlier, basically the Daniel fast consists of no meat products and no meat byproducts. So like no honey, no butter, things like that. And so some people are saying, well, I need to add in seafood because of this dietary concern, which is totally fine. That's up to you. Last year when I was nursing, I just did plain chicken breast, and just so I could make sure I had enough protein and not have to worry about it. Um, but you need to consider what are the things that are going to be a sacrifice for you. So for me, peanut butter is something that I love. It's one of my favorite foods. And I don't have it when I'm on the Daniel fast, even though it's perfectly fine because peanuts are a nut. The peanut butter I get anyway is just blended up peanuts, no other ingredients. And so it's approved, but I know for me that it wouldn't be a sacrifice. So it's not something that I have on the fast because I don't feel like I'm pushing myself. I know other people, and so the recipes that I'll give you that come with the book on the bonus website, which I'll show you in a little bit, um, they include seasonings. But if you're somebody that's like, that's not a big enough sacrifice, that's not a big enough of an ask of me, um, that I don't feel like I am doing enough to show my devotion to God, you can make all of your stuff without seasonings. You can still follow the recipes, but just don't do seasonings. That's perfectly fine. Some people are just going to do salt and pepper. You can do sea salt. Um, Other people are just going to do onion powder, garlic powder. Whatever your level is, that's one thing that I tell people is that it's up to you. This is a very personal experience. I'm here to guide you through it, but you have to consider what are the things that you're going to be doing to show your devotion. And that degree and that level is based upon you and your relationship with God. That's not something that I know. And so you have to make different modifications for yourself. All right. So then my last, oh, I have two more. And so make sure you are looking at your starting place. And so we talk about goals, SMART goals. It's January. We're making these resolutions. And I think instead of resolutions, we should focus on intentions and focus on, just being intentional about what you're doing and focus on smaller aspects of it. Because there's a book that I read recently called Eat That Frog, which is a really good book if you're somebody that struggles with procrastination. I'm recovering. And if you're somebody that just feels overwhelmed at times with having too much to do. And so it talks about prioritizing the things that are the hardest first and just getting it out of the way. And so it also talks about doing things in manageable pieces, like we've heard of SMART goals, so something that's manageable. And when you think about food and you think about your faith, those are two things that are really wide open. They're two things that have such large variances. They make it so that there's so many different options of where you could go with that. And so if you are so concerned and so worried about all of the parts of it, you're going to be overwhelmed. And same thing with your faith. If you're somebody who is maybe not in the same place that you've previously been with God, or maybe you're somebody who has never been in that space, it might seem overwhelming to feel like you're trying to meet or be where somebody else is that you see, which you shouldn't really be comparing yourself to someone else's faith walk. Anyway, but you get where I'm going with this. And so it's important to consider what are some small steps that I can do? What are some little things I can do in order to just gradually gradually eat that frog, gradually increase whatever my goal is when it comes to food or faith. And so to do that, you really need to see where you're starting from. So for example, where are you in your relationship with God? I know for me, the place that I was when I started, sorry, I'm trying to make sure my son is not awake. He's in the next room. Thought I heard some banging on the crib. But I had to consider where I had started from, and where I started from when I wrote the book versus where I started when I was advertising the book and like publishing it and things like that. And I was in two very different places. And part of that was due to COVID, part of it was being in quarantine for 9 months with a 1 year old. And it's just something where I had to evaluate and say, okay, well, I remember where I was, and I'm not quite there yet, but that doesn't mean that I can't get back there. And really actually publishing and going through this journey is something that's helped me to kind of reach further into that place. So think about where you currently are. Think about how much time you're spending reading your devotionals. Think about how much time you're spending either going or watching church online. Think about the conversations that you're having, and think about where your heart lies. So if you're somebody who, maybe you're somebody that doesn't go to church for whatever reason, but think about the way that you treat people. Think about the way that you let things affect you, and think about where your joy comes from. And the same thing with food. Think about how often you have certain foods, maybe how often you're having certain sweets, how many times a day you're drinking water. Just take an assessment, and it can be an informal assessment of where you are right now in your faith and in your food. And if you have your copy of the journal, there is a section at the beginning where you just kind of set intentions for the fast, and you are sharing what you are believing for yourself, and then also what you're believing for others. And I know some of you said you got your copies, or you just ordered your copies today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Or you are ordering your copies this week. So if you have Amazon Prime, they've been getting there in about 2 to 3 days. And even if you don't have Prime, I think someone else told me about 5 days. So if you're fasting with us corporately, we're going to start on the 10th. And if you want to have a community around you while you're doing that, then you can join the Facebook group, which is the Daniel Fast with Chef Ashley Shep, and I can put a link to that in the description for you once I'm done. Because I don't see my comments. Okay, actually, no, I can do it here. Well, no, I'll do it after. Okay, so then there was one other thing I wanted to share with you, and then I do want to let you ask questions, but you seem quiet, like you don't have questions today, so that's fine. And then the last thing is just to commit. So commit to yourself, commit to the Lord, if you're doing the Daniel fast or another faith-based fast, and really just decide your parameters. What are you going to eat? So if you're making modifications, what are those modifications going to be? And if you're saying, okay, I'm going to increase my faith and increase my relationship with the Lord, what does that look like? Are you going to try to read the Bible every day? Are you going to maybe start a devotional on the Bible app? They have some great options. And I recommend some on the Daniel Fast Extras page. And then stick to them. So whatever it is that you decide, if you're saying, okay, I'm not doing this, don't backslide on it. Be integrous and have the commitment to it to say, okay, this is what I said I'm doing. I'm going to do it and stick to it. And that's it. That's that. And then the last thing is to give yourself some grace, because at some point there's a chance that you might make a mistake, and that's perfectly fine. And you also want to consider that if I keep going back to a spiritual fast, consider that we as Christians, we're all sinners, and not that you're doing it intentionally, but there is a chance that you're going to make a mistake. One of the days in the devotional, I talk about where I accidentally ate something that was not on the list, and once I realized it, I just stopped, and then I put it in the freezer. It was some soup, and I think I mentioned that at the launch party. And so I didn't beat myself up about that because it was something that was unintentional. I did ask for forgiveness for it, but then I moved on. I kept it moving, and I just did what I needed to do to continue the fast. And so those are, so just in review, ways to help you with your healthy habits for the new year, whether you're fasting or not, is to be prepared and have a plan. Be very specific about the things you're going to do when you're going to eat your foods, what foods you're going to eat. If you have the book, there's recipes and grocery shopping lists on the book bonus website, which I'll show you how to get to. And then also, next tip is to know yourself. So consider where you're starting from, get a gauge of that. And then the last tip is to commit. So decide what you're going to do. If there's certain things you need to add into it, other things maybe you want to take away more, perfectly fine. But either way, commit to what those things are. So, all right, I do want to share real quick the bonus site. And so let me switch to screen sharing. All right, so everybody that purchases the book, you will get access to the Daniel Fast bonus site. And so it's mentioned throughout the book, but to make it easier to get to, I added a QR code on the back of the book. And so all you have to do is open your phone, put your phone's camera on top of the code, and then a little thing on the across the top will pop up and it'll take you to the site. And then the website's mentioned multiple times throughout the book. But just to kind of show you what you will have, so everybody gets a digital copy of the journal in case your journal doesn't arrive in time for you to start, or in case you want to print out the pages. I know for some people, the meal planning pages, or even the reflection pages, those might be something that you want to print out and just stick on your wall. I know sometimes I stick things on my mirror, so that way it's something I see continuously multiple times a day while you're washing your hands 50 million times, stuff like that. And so we have different sections. So getting started is just the basics of what you can find on the site. Get spiritually fed. This is a portion that includes extra devotions that I've read before. There's scriptures for encouragement here. Other digital devotionals, paper devotionals, or book devotionals that I've read before, and then some songs for encouragement. And then the part that you probably are most interested in is the getting physically fed, which includes the recipes, grocery shopping lists, and then also our Pinterest board. And there's tons and tons of ideas on the Pinterest board. And so there's a list of the foods you can have, and my notes about making it personal, so making sure the fast is for you. And the recipes are here. So when you get there, you can click on them, they'll open, and you can just print them. They're just like a Word document. And then the Pinterest board that has tons and tons of different recipes on there. And so this comes absolutely free with anybody that purchases the book. And this is the bonus site that comes with the Daniel Fast. Also, if you are on Facebook, you want to check out the Daniel Fast with Chef Ashley Shep group. And so if you go to the Get Connected section, join the community, then it'll take you right to the group. And it's a community of other believers who are doing the Daniel Fast currently, or they've done it before. It's a place to get encouragement. I'll post different scriptures, post recipes, things like that. So it's just a great place to kind of hang out. All right. Yeah, so that is the bonus site. And let me check and make sure I was talking, I wasn't paying attention to see if there were questions. I don't think there are. All right, so we're good. So if you're somebody who purchased the book, but you want to start your fast before your book gets there, just screenshot me your receipt from Amazon, because the one bad thing about Amazon is that they don't share who purchased the book. So if you want to get your printable copy of the book before your book gets there, in case you want to start earlier, just screenshot me your receipt or send me your screenshot me your receipt, and then I'll send you the link for the journal and the recipes. So, all right. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you have a blessed evening and a wonderful start to your Daniel Fast or what other new healthy habit you're having this year. Thanks. Talk to you later.